could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on.
In New Orleans, football is more than a game. It's a way of life. And just like our offensive line, we protect what matters most. With the big game in New Orleans at Elliott Security Solutions, we don't just protect, we lead. And now, we're hiring the best to join our team. Call 504-392-4424 or visit ElliottSecuritySolutions.com. Elliott Security is a proud partner of Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, I'm Shelton Jordan with Lamarque Crescent City Ford. If you are in need of a commercial vehicle, I'm here to help. From F-150s to Super Duty trucks or chassis, to cargo vans, passenger vans, or if you're in need of a vehicle to be upfitted, we can build it especially for you. Or if you're looking for a truck or SUV, I can also help you at Lamarque Ford Store in Kenner. Feel free to call me at 504-734-3579 and ask for Shelton. Lamarque Crescent City Ford is a proud partner of Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite, and Inside the Trenches podcast is back, baby. We back. Y'all make sure y'all check us out for excellent season, and you can check us out on NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Y'all make sure y'all follow me at BigFave504. We back at it, baby. We in them trenches.
Hi, it's Alberto Montero. We got a great selection of vehicles in and out of here on a daily basis. We offer financing, all Carfaxes are online, and all our vehicles are serviced and inspected before sale. Best selection and prices in all of the New Orleans metro area. Come visit us today at 1512 North Causeway in the heart of Metairie. Come check us out at MonteroMotors.com.
Montero Motors, a proud sponsor of Inside the Trenches, ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
Hello, somebody. This is Robert Wolfe. If you are in need of construction or real estate services, project management services, give us a call at 504-393-2445.
Well, hello. Like Rob just said, hit up Robert Wolfe Construction and Real Estate for your real estate and construction needs. And let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with Marlon Favorite on ESPN New Orleans. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Big Fave Favorite. Watch out there now.
Step Construction is here for you with a brand new offer. We now provide affordable storage sheds. Stop wasting your money on overpriced storage units and portable containers. Step Construction can provide you with a custom shed that will fit your budget and storage needs. So contact Step Construction today at 504-340-5809 for your own personal quote. Let us help you take the next step at Step Construction.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
For the radio.
What's up, beautiful people?
From LA to LA,
Beautiful
LA. Hello,
people. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Big Fave Favorite. And yeah, it does look a little different right now because we're live in the Small Slider studio here at New Orleans Talk Network studio. And joining me live right now, I have my brother, Grant Sassery. Grant, thank you for coming on. Grant, so talk to our listeners, man. I know we always with each other at the LSU games, at the press box. I see you at the high school games. I guess before we dive into today's topics, give our listeners a little bit of your background, where you went to high school, etc.
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from the New Orleans area. My dad, was a coach. Used to coach at Tulane for 8 years, so I was living here in New Orleans for a while, and my whole family's from here. But I went to high school out in California, Northgate High School. I played against the players like Najee Harris out there and everything in the Bay Area. And then after high school, we all moved back down here because we were just tired of moving all the time, because that's the life of being the son of a coach's son. You just move around a lot, and being back in New Orleans the last 7-8 years, and going to LSU, and just getting a good education, then also starting my sports media career. It's been awesome just to be back in the state that I'm originally from.
So you spent a little bit of high school time out in California, and I know off air you said your dad was recruiting me, Coach Sashry, when he was at Tulane with Coach Selfo and all those guys.
Yeah.
I can remember going to Tulane for a couple of unofficial visits, and it was cool. But I mean, at the time, LSU, Nick Saban, they just won a national championship. But we're gonna definitely give Tulane a little props later, because we will talk about. I saw the Boot Crew Media. I saw they referenced this first, but they discussed the top teams in Louisiana right now, where we're at in the season. So we're definitely going to get into that. Couple of shots out. We want to give shots out to Small Sliders. That's 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. That's why I just gave Grant a little break real quick so he could smash that slider. Them things hit. Sorry about that. Got a little bug action in here. Make my little adjustment like the Temptations. But I encourage y'all to head on over there to 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Small Sliders, Marrero. When I was on my live earlier, I was talking to my folks about coming on over, going over to that location, going to the New Orleans Talk Network YouTube. Y'all can watch us because we're streaming live here. I know I have some of my folks here hollering at me on my Instagram Live as well. But definitely want to give I definitely want to give Small Sliders a shout out. And check this out. You go over there, you use code word Big Fave, you might get a free queso or something. So definitely make your way to Small Sliders and enjoy. Well, we have so much to get into today. I want to kind of play it how I played it last week, Grant. I started off talking about, the teams that that were doing well last week, and then I talked about the bad. But I think this week is explosive as it has been in past games early on. The defense was inconsistent in certain areas, and then of course the turnover battle has been an issue. We've seen Nussmeier turn the ball over, so those are some of the negatives. A lot of action going on. You get that Florida crowd into it. Because, let's be honest. Even the Florida fans didn't think that they were going to be able to go out there.
Yeah. It's kind of it's...
Hey, you push it up.
Oh, there we go. So, yeah, it's just kind of a reverse, I guess you could say, of the LSU the last few years in 2020 and 2021. I remember as a student, we all went in that game. We're like thinking, oh, okay, there's no way we're going to beat Florida, and then we beat Florida somehow. And those are two of the worst LSU teams we've experienced in the 21st century. But this year, Florida's kind of gone through some turmoil. I know that the news broke out a couple weeks ago that Florida was in fact keeping Billy Napier. A lot of that's because of the young talent that's coming in, and also DJ Lagway. He's a dude, and we all saw that on Saturday. But just it just looked like LSU just looked like they didn't want to be there. I'm not saying they didn't want to be there, but they looked like it. And you saw Florida, and despite all the things that are going on this season, the last few years, they're just like, okay, we're going to fight. We're going to play for our coach. And that's what it looked like. I'm not saying LSU wasn't playing for Brian Kelly, but it just looked like they were not physical. It's the third straight game where they did not look like the more physical team. It's the third straight game where the offensive line, which was hyped up for so much of the year, just is fall flat once again. Nussmeier was making so many mistakes, not only throwing the ball, but also just not aware of his pocket presence. And, there's there's a couple of photos on Twitter where there's like two wide open receivers, and then, that play was a sack. And that kind of gave context to that picture. So it's been very disappointing for LSU just the last 3 games.
It has been disappointing in the finish. I look at how this team really didn't take advantage of opportunities. The penalties got us. I know that one touchdown that we had got called back was big. And I look at a team that is struggling to find an identity. Last year, the identity was Jaden Daniels. I mean, when you play against LSU, you better account for 5. Oh, by the way, he has these 2 receivers that finish with 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I do kind of pay attention to that aspect as well. And then in the time of possession, we're more successful. This is the second game I've noticed that this year. Rushing yards, we were more successful. I thought if we would have kept going to Anderson, we would have, you know, put ourselves in a pretty unique situation to find someone with a hot hand that could, you know, go out there and basically capitalize off the opportunities he was. He was, you know, going again, you know, being able to produce 27-16 to a team that's bad. Like, I couldn't think of anything before this game where Florida looks well. 4 and 5 when they played us. I mean, before the game, I remember the commentator was like, if they don't like win these next 2 out of the 3 games, they won't be bowl eligible. Yeah. So now they're fired up, they're pumped up. So what I see in Coach Billy Napier is a guy who, from the beginning of the season, was on the hot seat. A, B, no one thought he would keep his job, and then Florida said, we're going to stick with our guy. That says a lot about how the players feel about him, how the organization feels about him, the light at the end of the tunnel. In this situation with us, with Coach Kelly, you have a guy that's at the front end of his 10-year contract, has time to he basically has time to screw up. Yep. And, I mean, you can see it in the pressers. You know, he's like, you know, guys, we're going to get it together. You know, we still have a lot to work on, and, you know, we're going to address these issues. I mean, he's going to, and I get what Coach Kelly coming from. He's like, look, I have a team that has a lot of young players. I had a Heisman Trophy winner, for Christ's sakes, the year before. My receiving core is trying to stay healthy, trying to find its way. We just found this elusive running back and a freshman we had to go ahead and take a risk on. So, we get it. But to the point of where they're at right now, Grant, we got to see some improvement in these next 2 games. I mean, this fan base is going to go crazy.
And really, it's just, I mean, just looking at it, you know, Brian Kelly's got to be, like, really obsessed with winning. When you're a head coach in the SEC, you have to be absolutely obsessed. And, you know, Saban's obsessed. Kirby, we all know, is obsessed. You know, look at some of the top, like, Sarkisian is obsessed. He kind of, you know, he kind of got that from Carroll, but he really got that from his years under Saban. You know, you have to be an obsessed. You got to be an obsessed maniac when it comes to winning big-time college football. And I think the perfect example, we can look at Brian Kelly's tenure so far at LSU. You can compare it to Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. I think that's a great example. I know a lot of people are comparing it to Nick Saban, because Nick Saban, you know, we came to LSU, they had Harbaugh. They won 3 straight 10-win seasons, and you know they had some disappointing losses near the end too. But I think, yes, LSU still has a lot of time, because we saw, again, going back to Michigan, as time went on, this last 4 or 5 years in Michigan, Jim Harbaugh was very successful. Matter of fact, they won the national championship and went to 3 straight playoff appearances. I'm not saying that, you know, of course, you can criticize Brian Kelly, but sometimes you also got to be patient as well. He made a lot of mistakes early on, and I was telling Terry that, you know, just with some of the coaching hires he made the first go around were questionable at best, and it really impacted recruiting. Like, they should have kept Corey Raymond around. I think you're seeing that now. Corey Raymond right now has 2 5-stars from the state. And have really catapulted to what we're seeing right now. It's just like LSU doesn't have the talent to compete with Alabama. They don't have the talent to compete with some of the top teams in the SEC, because there's a lack of talent. I'm not saying those guys are good. Those guys they're good players. Like, Sage Ryan's a good player. He's actually been one of the better defensive players this season, according to the PFF ratings. But at the same time, they're just good players. They're not, those guys probably wouldn't start on the teams you played for back in the day at LSU.
If y'all are just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, I'm joined by my man Grant. I love Tony Sassery. So if you want to say Tony Sassery seasoning, but Grant Sassery the low sodium though. Hello, somebody. Make sure y'all follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Grant Sassery, and then also on Twitter at Sassery Grant. Y'all follow my boy for great content. He's at the games with me all the time for LSU, doing his media thing, and I appreciate him for coming on the show tonight to talk LSU because, obviously we're passionate about this team. We're journalists for this team, and, we want to make sure that we not only give you guys great, accurate information. Speaking of liking a team and liking what you do, be sure to like and subscribe to Inside the Trenches with Marlon Favorite on YouTube. We'll have this episode up in a few more days. Also, we will be releasing the pod being all of the episodes are on there if you missed our last few, but we will also be releasing this episode here in a few days. And I appreciate everyone here on live Instagram and that's checking us out live on the New Orleans Talk Network at the studio, in the Small Slider studio, baby. Y'all go ahead and did y'all go get y'all sliders already? Talk to me. What y'all did already? So it's so much to get into with LSU. You look at what type of opportunities we did have starting off the beginning of the season. You look at the UCLA, the USC loss, and like, man, that's the one that got away. And then, of course, we could have won at Texas A&M. We could have done a number of things. But what's most important more than anything else is how we finish the season. We have a bunch of young guys. It's a couple of highlights at LSU. One being Whit Weeks. I thought he's been great this year, especially in the absence of Harold Perkins. It's been great seeing Whit Weeks play. You look at how well this team has figured out some type of rush. We was able to, shouts out to the show Inside the Trenches, but we were able to establish some type of pressure. In the beginning of the season, we saw Savion really jump out there and play productive. Lately, it's been about Swinson. He's been the guy up front pressuring the quarterbacks. Even in this guy, it was a bit disheartening to see him not be able to play the first quarter because we could have used him in the first quarter. I understand the discipline side of things, but right now we're playing for a college football playoff, so that is important. But Grant, I want to ask you this: when you look at LSU moving forward from an optimistic standpoint, do you feel that we could, there is light at the end of the tunnel? There's the class of 2025. There's the class of 2025 that is booming right now, right? You got number ones across the board. So from that perspective, LSU is doing exceptionally well. They're doing, how can I say this? They're in the top 5 or something of that nature. They're not top 5 on the top 25 college football rankings, but they're winning in there.
Right, yeah.
Do you feel optimistic about this team moving forward as far as the future? Because Coach Kelly's not, he's not going to go nowhere for a while. We're not alluding that we need to have him go somewhere. It takes time. He didn't do it in the first 3 years like Nick Saban, like Les Miles or Ed Ogeron, because those guys were under a different set of rules. This is the new college football, Jack, so it's different. We have to be patient.
Yeah, and I think, this, not just this class, but in class of 2024, he did a really good job of getting those guys to say in state. Dominic McKinley, Gabe Relaford were both Texas A&M commits. He was able to get them both to flip to LSU. I really like the 2024 recruiting class. I've actually seen a good bit of him play now. PJ Woodland's played a good bit. He hasn't been a starter, but he's been a guy that's come in and contributed some big time moments. Ahmad Bro is another guy. Was a wrestling guy last year. He helped lead them to the state championship, and he's been a key contributor on the inside. They moved him to the inside. I really like some of the guys from the class of 24, but these next 2 recruiting classes from the class of 2025 and 2026. Obviously, in 2025, you got Bryce Underwood, you got Harlan Berry, you got all these big-time guys, not only from in the state, but also outside the state. And then also the class of 2026, that's going to be the year where Louisiana is going to be, let's just have dudes everywhere around the state, and even the class of 2027. Class of 2027 has like 3 quarterbacks in it that are all legit D1 guys, and Elijah Haven is the number 1 recruit in the country, quarterback for Dunham. So I think what's benefiting, the reason why Brian Kelly doesn't have as much heat is because of the future of the recruits that could possibly be coming in, and then also, you know this, Fab. I mean, every 2 or 3 years, Louisiana has a huge bump in recruiting.
Yeah.
Because they have a huge crop of talent, and that's what happened in 2003. It happened in 2007, 2011. I know they didn't win the national championship, but 2011 is a great example. The class of 2017 was which were all the juniors for that 2019 national championship team. You know, that's usually where you start to see LSU really start to be like one of the elites. So hopefully, they get everything right. Hopefully, they keep this defensive staff. I'm really high on this defensive staff. Blake Baker, I know he's been getting a little criticism, but he's a really good defensive coordinator. You got the 2 best defensive line coaches in the country. Cora Raymond's back. So, I mean, I think the defense is going to look really good in the next couple of years because you're going to get those guys. You're going to get the dogs. You're going to get the cavalry coming in. But on offense, they got to figure some things out. I'm not sure what they're going to do because right now you're kind of dilemma because Joe Sloan, and he's done an okay job, but his play calling has been questionable at times. But you also can't really get rid of him because he's Bryce Underwood's primary recruiter, and he's the big reason why Bryce Underwood came in. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what they do on the offensive staff. I'm not sure if they're gonna make changes, but they might. Yeah.
Well, I was a part of a team in 2008 where we had co-coordinators on defense. Coach Pelini, rightfully so, had to abruptly leave and take the Nebraska job.
Right.
I mean, anybody would have did that as a head coaching job. I mean, this dude, Coach Ndamna Kamsu, right? So he has a resume there. He made a little noise in that conference. Well, we didn't really want to rock the boat on defense because that team was basically established. They were in a position to where they didn't really need, how could I say this? We didn't really need any support in regards to how to win. Like even in that 2008 season, I remember us still being successful on defense. We just had a lot of turnovers, right?
Yeah.
Some of them we couldn't control, like pick sixes.
Yeah, oh yeah,
But
I remember that.
shouts out to my man Jared Lee and Andrew Hatch. We was trying to put it together.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Of course, Ryan Perrill had to abruptly leave the team. We had Brandon LaFell. He came back. You had guys like Demetrius Bird that came back. We still had Richard Dixon at tight end. So we had weapons on offense and experience on offense. But what we lacked on that team was just, it was like too many Chiefs, not enough Indians.
Right.
Right? So I look at this LSU team, 2 brilliant guys in Cortez Hankton, and who's won a national championship with Georgia, and Coach Malone, who's really been doing an exceptional job on the recruiting end, but at the same token, being able to really help develop quarterbacks. Yeah, you look at Nussmeier's development, Jaden's development. Those are those guys. So you give credit what credit is due, but I put on the coaching hat before, right? And I have as a matter of fact, I'm on my live right here. Shouts out to my homie Matthew, who's one of our players from Concord. Sports consultant. I see these guys. When me and Drake come together and we meet, we always come up with one mutual plan. I'm not saying that's not what those guys are doing, but something's not clicking. These players are thinking this is going on, so there's a miscommunication there. It's a struggle for an identity, so it does make you think, do Coach Kelly, when we get to this offseason, do he look at this as hiring a new guy as an offensive coordinator, or does he say, okay, Cortez, you're going to be the offensive coordinator, Salone, you'll be the quarterback's coach? Both of these guys are just interested in winning.
And, the thing is, I've seen both those names. So I know definitely Cortez has popped in a few coaching searches as well, because as you know, there's a few of the colleges that have already fired, like Kennesaw State has fired their coach recently. I'm not sure if they should have done that because they just joined FBS, but it is what it is. But there's a few like Rice. I remember Cortez Hankton's name popped up in the Rice coaching search as well. So it's gonna be a very interesting offense because I'm not sure they even need to make changes. One of the coaches might leave. to become a head coach. Like Joe Sloan, the East Carolina job opened up. He's an East Carolina alum, so that job might be get offered to him. But I think really in terms of identity, I remember earlier in the year, the Nicholls State game. That was the game where he wasn't so much a USC game because it was the first game of the year and it's against another big time opponent. I know USC's not obviously struggling a whole lot since then, but you really can tell the USC. It was that Nicholls State game where it just looked like Nicholls was out physical by LSU, and I texted, I texted Ken Trahan, my boss at Crescent City Sports. I was like, "Hey Ken, like it just looks like LSU getting out coached. Not only out coached, but out physical. I don't remember LSU ever getting out physical by another FCS team in my lifetime. And so I know Nicholls State's a really good, there's a really good team. I know Coach Rebo's done a great job with that program, but just to see that was really concerning, and you're starting to see that now, especially with the 3 straight games we played against Alabama, Texas A&M, and Florida, and they out-physicaled you by a bunch. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm not sure if they're going to demote Joe Sloan. I'm not sure if they're going to, bump up Cortez. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I'm not sure they're going to make any changes at all. So it'll be a very interesting offseason for sure. But, a big way you can help out with some of the issues. Maybe, of course, you got the recruits coming in, but I know Brian Kelly mentioned this earlier today that in his press conference that they're going to hit the transfer portal, but they also want to do it in a balanced sense where you don't have a whole team full of transfers, because you're seeing that in Florida State right now where they just really relied on the transfer portal. Yeah, they had 2 really good years, and last year they finished the regular season undefeated, but this year they've only won 1 game. So it's very important to have the right approach to fix some of the issues you have currently on your team to make sure they don't happen again next year.
That is important. I think it is important to approach the off-season balance, take an honest look. And that's why I mentioned what I had talked to you about early on the show. Take a balanced approach to your team right now, right? You want to make sure that not only are you making the right decisions in terms of bringing in the right pieces, you arguably have the biggest recruit at quarterback potentially coming to because they still have to sign, right?
Yeah, of course.
Potentially coming to your team next year. How are you going to keep him around, right? Does Nussmeier enter the NFL draft, or does Nussmeier come back to LSU?
I think, given his struggles the last 3 weeks, it just became clearer and clearer that he's coming back. Ole Miss, even though he struggled against Ole Miss, he had some throws like, oh my God, this guy could be the first round pick, and then all of a sudden he throws a really bad ball, and you're like, what was that? I told my little brother Noah this, because Noah is he plays at Hobart College right now. They're actually in the playoffs, so shout out to Hobart Statesman. He's a linebacker over there. But anyway, I was talking to him.
Shouts out.
Yeah, shouts out. Yeah. So I was telling him, hey Noah, this is probably the best way you can explain it. I'm not sure, I'm not sure if you remember this because you're kind of young, but this is literally Nussmeier's Brett Favre. He's I would say a great value Brett Favre. I'm not showing shade at Nussmeier, but kind of showing you his skill set. He is a lot like Brett Favre in terms of he'll make a really great throw. Like, oh my God, how'd you make that throw? And then next we're like, what are you doing? That's Nussmeier. There's only very few quarterbacks that are like that. It just reminds me so much of Brett Favre and the gunslinger mentality. However, I think some of his issues, of course, are on him. Of course, some blame needs to put on him, but I also think that LSU needs to put in some more short passes. We talked about Aaron Anderson. We talked about also Mason Taylor is another big time guy. He's really been him and Aaron Anderson have been the 2 most reliable guys in the receiving corps all year. So you need to figure out a way to get them in the game more, and then also materialize the short passing game as well, because you're relying too much on medium to deep passes. Those are lower and lower percentage passes, so you need to figure out a way to get the short game involved so you can open up the deep game and then also open up the run game. You saw that against Florida. The run game was working really good. Like Josh Williams, who's really struggled running the ball all year, he looked awesome in that Florida game last week, but they're going to really need to figure some things out on offense. I know Brian Kelly's gotten more involved in the offensive play calling, so how much of the successful running game is due to Brian Kelly's play calling? But we'll see in the next 2 weeks. You got Vanderbilt, who's a good team. They can shock some people, and then also Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma's struggling, but it's still Oklahoma. You got to treat them like they're Oklahoma.
No, you make a good point, Grant. I think if you look at this LSU team through a wide lens, you see a lot of talent. young guys, players that could potentially be really big-time NFL stars, it's LSU. But when I look into the whole Nussmeier situation, I see a gifted quarterback, right? I see a quarterback that right now is number 4 on Mel Kiper's board. This is big time because even if this was last year, you still have a situation where you may fall off the board in the 5th or 6th round, which I think is fair, you know, and you have a dad that's a NFL quarterback coach, so you have the upper hand on most guys. We saw this with Joe Burrow. We've seen this with even Deion Sanders and his son, just the pedigree alone. Coming back to LSU for a second year has worked for Joe Burrow. It has worked for Jaden Daniels, and it could potentially work for Nussmeier. The reason I was leaning more towards him going to the NFL, and you guys can hit me up on X at BigFave504. We could probably make this question of the day: should Nussmeier enter the NFL draft, or should he stay at LSU? We have a show here called FanView. You might know Fred Jones. Fred, he strongly believes Nuss is going to come back, and he should come back. Listening to you talk, you feel like you're leaning more towards him coming back to LSU. Data does tell you that, but aside from data, you still have a guy that needs a little more development. Fred also texted me, look how this looks, Fave. Look at Anthony Richardson. Look at Pickens from Pittsburgh. We didn't forgot about him 3 quarterbacks ago. Yeah. Look at even Bryce Young. All of these players who've had 1-year experience. Look at their NFL careers. Now here's what I'll add to that, and this is where I could come with a little rebuttal. When we talk about Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, those guys were mobile. They could move in the pocket. When you talk about Gary Nussmeier, I think his path is a little different if he does decide to go into the NFL draft this year. I think his path is a little different from those other guys because of him having a dad that's an NFL quarterback coach and a former NFL player. You know, all of that does matter in developing. So it wouldn't be a bad idea. But the question is, Faye, why are you so big on him leaving? Hey, you see what's about to come in here? And the thing is, if a Jaden Daniels guy was still there, it's different. It's the way of the game. It's the SEC, baby. In the SEC, it's real. These defensive ends run real-life 4-3s and 4-4s. These interior linemen, not in fake life, in real life, running 4-7s, 4-8s. It's not average speed. Like, I was considered fast, and I ran a 4-9. These guys are faster, and they're bigger. You have to be mobile in today's game, period, on the NCAA level, on the NFL level, probably CFL, XFL, all of that, because of the speed of the players that you're going against. So that's what worries me. And me watching Nussmeier play this year, I see a guy that just doesn't think, let me take off running for yards. Mm-hmm. I see a guy that's sitting in the pocket trying to let routes develop and throw the ball, and that doesn't work with what's coming in there.
Yeah, I mean, well, Kenny Pickett, I'll say that Kenny Pickett was in college forever. He was there for 5 years. He actually, I think the man is convinced him to come back for another year because I think the man's talked to some scouts or whatever for Kenny Pickett. But Jane, I'm glad you brought up Jaden Daniels and Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's a kind of perfect case example. Jameis Winston's another great example of a guy who should have probably stayed in college for one more year, just because they needed some more development. I think Jaden Daniels is a perfect example. Like Jaden Daniels. You know, he's really good. That was his big thing in his first year, is that he had a hard time trying to read progressions, and sometimes he ran the ball too early. And also, he had some really – I remember when he first got into LSU, he had really bad footwork, so they had to reteach him footwork. I remember that. That was a big storyline. But then over the offseason, he gained more confidence. Of course, his footwork got better. Not only he was still running the ball. Of course, he ran for over 1,000 yards, but you could tell he's running. He's still looking for dudes around the field. And then when nobody's open, all right, I'm going to take off a run because I'm the fastest guy on the field. Gary Nussbaum, of course, he's not the fastest guy on the field, but he's got to understand that if nobody's open, run. Just run. Just if you get 3 or 4 yards, that's positive yardage. Just get as many yards as possible, and then slide because obviously we don't want you to get hurt. As LSU fans would say, we don't want you to get hurt. But at the same time, if you're gonna, we need to get yards. So, every time you get an incompletion, that's either you get no yards, or even worse, you throw an interception. We've seen that in the last month or so.
Well, this Saturday, LSU takes on Vanderbilt. I want to say it's a daytime game. I can pull it up here.
It's at 6:30, I believe. It was like a night game.
It's a night game. Oh, 6:30, nighttime at Tiger Stadium.
I think it was like 5:30. Yeah, I gotta double check. I know Oklahoma was 6:30. Maybe got the two confused.
With the gold jerseys, baby.
Yeah.
They got the gold jerseys representing. I like it. I like the direction we're going. I don't like being ranked number 22, but that's what comes with it. But we do take on Vanderbilt at 6:45. It's an SEC network game. LSU, baby. We may weigh in on the Vanderbilt game here, Charlotte. We're going to take a quick break, baby, and we'll be joined by my man, David Grubb. That's right, we're going hard in the paint. D. Grubb going to talk a little Saints with us. We're going to segue a little Saints, but then we're going to talk Pelicans. We're really trying to get them to, roll on a positive tip. So we're going to take ourselves a quick break here. It's Inside the Trenches. Remember, small sliders, baby, and Marrero.
In New Orleans, football is more than a game. It's a way of life. And just like our offensive line, we protect what matters most. With the big game in New Orleans at Elliott Security Solutions, we don't just protect, we lead. And now, we're hiring the best to join our team. Call 504-392-4424 or visit ElliottSecuritySolutions.com. Elliott Security is a proud partner of Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, I'm Shelton Jordan with Lamarque Crescent City Ford. If you are in need of a commercial vehicle, I'm here to help. From F-150s to Super Duty trucks or chassis, to cargo vans, passenger vans, or if you're in need of a vehicle to be upfitted, we can build it especially for you. Or if you're looking for a truck or SUV, I can also help you at Lamarque Ford Store in Kenner. Feel free to call me at 504-734-3579 and ask for Shelton. Lamarque Crescent City Ford is a proud partner of Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite, and Inside the Trenches podcast is back, baby. We back. Y'all make sure y'all check us out for excellent season, and you can check us out on NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Y'all make sure y'all follow me at BigFave504. We back at it, baby. We in them trenches.
Hi, it's Alberto Montero. We got it. Great selection of vehicles in and out of here on a daily basis. We offer financing. All Carfaxes are online, and all our vehicles are serviced and inspected before sale. Best selection and prices in all of the New Orleans metro area. Come visit us today at 1512 North Causeway in the heart of Metairie. Come check us out at MonteroMotors.com.
Montero Motors, a proud sponsor of Inside the Trenches, ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my small sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
Small sliders fries, good, baby. They hitting that. Just drunk my little water with it. And my man D Grub, y'all make sure y'all follow him at DM Grub on X. They go hard in the paint. Bird rights too, man. Keeping us up with the Pels. So we're gonna talk Pelicans in our third block. So y'all be sure to stick around. And also later on, we will be joined by my man Lou Hill from Waterseed Music. He gonna join the round table, talk a little sports with us. They got a new single out too, called Marie. So looking forward to checking that out as well. And we want to take this time to thank our lovely sponsors. My man Joe, who's also a co-host here as well with Godwyn Realty. We believe that real estate should be personal. Y'all can check them out at 1943 Sophie Wright Place, New Orleans, Louisiana, right for you, Magazine Street. Holler at my man Joe. They're going to get y'all together. Give them a call, 504-826-8426. And look, check this out. If you tell them that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches, man, they're going to hook you up big time. First-time home buyers, you're trying to refinance, whatever the case is with your crib, my man Joe got you. I know a team that read up a little bit. The New Orleans Saints, they definitely made a re-up. They took a big-time decision to fire, Dennis Allen, and then appointed Darren Rizzi as the head coach. And you see it, like it's like almost like night and day. It's almost, I remember Leonard Fournette telling me this, and shouts out to both of my old coaches, me and Coach O. I never had a chance to play for him, but it's always like he was like, went to a couple Coach O camps, so you know if you're going to Coach O camps, baby, you're getting coached up. And Coach Miles, two great coaches, but talking to Leonard, he talked about how it was night and day with Coach Miles and Coach Ed Ogeron. And I kind of starting to see that same thing with the Saints, the players smiling, jumping around. You got Cam Jordan out here trying on different outfits. They're all talking about their favorite Thanksgiving food. They just, it's a happier team. Winning cures all. But, guys, I want to talk about this past performance this weekend. I think it's only appropriate to start with Taysom Hill. D. Grub, will come to you first. when you look at 3 touchdowns from Taysom Hill and how productive, one of them a 75-yard run, man, this kid is definitely a slash 2.0.
Well, yeah, I think that Taysom is probably the most unique player in the NFL that maybe we've ever seen. Because when you talk about him as being as skilled as he is, as physically dominant as he can be when he's not getting injured, unfortunately, that's been the biggest drawback for him going back to college. You know, when he was at BYU, he missed a lot of time due to injuries. That's why his stock dropped. He's not a quarterback. He never was a quarterback. He is a football player, and you know those guys. No matter the sport, there's some people who are just gamers. You know what I'm saying? You don't really put a label on them. And Taysom, I think, was miscast as a quarterback. But you have to play a position. You know, and that's what the NFL has always done. All sports have done. They try to find a slot for you. But for Taysom, they have figured out when you have him, there are 2 things the Saints have had trouble doing with him. Number 1 is optimizing his usage because they have gotten him overused, and that's led to the injuries. And then I think the other part is how best to utilize him, in what position. And I think if you're going to utilize him as a quarterback, it has to be as a change of pace for 1 or 2 plays. Mm-hmm. If you put him in for 1 play, you saw the interception happen. Because I think everybody could tell when he was inserted the first time at quarterback and he was going deep. You could see it. It was coming. And he can telegraph those situations we've seen in the past. That's why he wasn't the long-term solution at quarterback. But when you utilize him properly and you take that ability, because both he and Alvin Kamara are low-usage, high-impact guys. Mm-hmm. You're not going to give Alvin Kamara 30 carries. You know what I'm saying? That's not the best usage of Alvin Kamara. It's not the best usage of Taysom Hill to give him 30 carries. But it's those 10 touches he can change a game. Whether as a returner, as a receiver, as a runner, as a quarterback, he can change a game for you. And he did that, and I think he is also the embodiment for this team, as you talked about, and you know as a player better than anybody else, is that when the mood is right, you may not be the most talented team on Sunday.
Right.
And there are plenty of times in the NFL where you are not the most talented team. And the Saints have not been the most talented team on a lot of occasions this year, but they have more talent than I think they want to give themselves credit for. They just don't perform up to the level of that talent. But when you come to work every day and you like it again, and you could clearly see that nobody liked coming into the building, you know, under Dennis Allen the last few months, and we've seen former players talk about last year at the end of the season, that Atlanta game being really the point where he lost the team in a lot of ways, where guys thought he was going to be fired, but he came back. I think that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And so he was a lame duck coach walking, whether or not he was in his last year of his contract or not, because his team had shut him off. And I think with Rizzy, he's come in and he said, just be yourselves, enjoy playing football. Whatever happens, happens. We win, we lose, whatever. But y'all got to enjoy playing football first, because I can't get anything out you if you don't want to be here, if you don't care about the guy next to you on the line.
Right, that's real tough.
And so now you're at least seeing that passion come back. And for football, it's such an emotional-driven game because you're asking men to collide into each other in a violent manner and put their bodies on the line. So if I ain't out there and I want to do that, if I don't want to be there, I'm not going to give you my best. So at the very least out of the last 2 weeks, though they have not been juggernaut opponents, you know, the Atlanta Falcons are showing you they're slipping and coming back to the pack. The Browns are 2-7. They're not an elite team. But you got to beat somebody. And this is where it starts, is with execution. They've executed better. The penalties have not been there as much, though they are still big chunk plays that they got to do something about. They give up way too many big yardage plays as a defense. There are things to fix. You're not there, but you at least the culture, that dark cloud that was hanging over the facility on Airline Highway seems to be lifted. And that, for a lot of fans, and maybe the players too, it doesn't mean that the long-term issues are not still there. You got cap issues you need to fix. You got talent issues you need to fix. You have a decision to make with Coach Rizzy. But at the very least, it's much more enjoyable for the fan base and for those players to watch that team every Sunday.
If y'all are just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, my man David Grubb, hard in the paint, talking a little Saints with us, and I still have my man Grant Sassery over here representing. I want to say Lou Hill's at the door, waiting to come in. Lou's going to join us here in the last hour, talk some sports, and really jump into the conversation. And the conversation really is, hey, this team, we saw this, and it's very ironic that Jameis was in the building, because the last time he was in the building, he handed the ball off to Jamal Williams, and we know the rest of the history with that. I think that was the first straw to break the camel's back to where we knew, man, I think it's over for Dennis, because a guy like when you think of a guy like Jameis, you think of a respectable player, someone who not only respects his peers, his coaches, but if he feels comfortable with doing something like that with you, yeah, it's almost the end of the road. But I think Coach Darren Rizzi has really jumped off to the right start. Taysom Hill is really being utilized the right way. 7 carries, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns. Bringing in Scantling was huge for the Saints as well. When you look at production and players that's able to get things rolling. Defensively, the Saints are starting to really pick up. You look at a guy like Cam Jordan, Grant, he's down 20 pounds during the season. His production in the past 2 weeks is equivalent or maybe a little more, I'm guessing here, than his production in the first part of the season.
Yeah.
So you got guys like him, Demario Davis. You know, this is a roster that folks have been very critical of. Has been a roster that's quote unquote too old, or a roster that has players that's out of place. You trade Marshawn Lattimore. You don't get the best play out of Derek Carr weekly. I mean, he was exceptional in this game. I mean, because everything was so balanced, and that's the good thing about Coach Rizzi coming on board. Derek Carr was 21 for 27, 248 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Those are, pretty square numbers, or decent numbers for a quarterback that's basically managing the game. But Grant, when you think about this Saints defense in the last 2 weeks under Coach Rizzi's tutelage and their performance, I mean, just kind of give us, a briefing on that.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints, the last game, they weren't great at all. I mean, they weren't really that great. I mean, they nearly gave up 400 yards of passing to Jameis Winston. Really, that's also the shout out to Jameis Winston for coming in that stadium. I know he has a lot of grief, or not grief. I forgot the word I'm looking for, but he's got a lot. He's got vengeance on his mind, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because the ending.
Well, that first quarter, he came out scorching.
I mean, yeah. So he still has a lot of vengeance from what happened. Game let go and game upon the Browns, but he's a great teammate. So you saw a lot of Saints teammates came up to him after the game, shake his hand, whatever. And of course, the Browns his teammates on the Browns love him a lot too. You've seen the Browns also pick up. Speaking of changes, you've also seen the Browns pick up their play because of the quarterback change. So kind of see two similar situations, but with the Saints, you just see them play with more energy. And I know the Saints defense still doesn't look great, but with this move to Rizzi, it just seems like they play with a lot more energy. That's common with these kind of mid-season coaching changes. I remember when my dad was coach at the University of Arizona, like this, we were not really good. They started the season 1-5. They lost against an Oregon State team that did not win a single game, and then they decided to fire their head coach Mike Stoops, and then they went to their defensive coordinator Tim Kish, and the next game off the bat they beat the Dogs off of UCLA, and it was like 42-0. I think at the end of the first half, and that was a UCLA team that ended up going to the Pac-10 championship that year. Pac-12 championship that year. So sometimes there's coaching changes. You see a lot more players, like you said, enjoying going to work more and stuff like that. But the Saints still have a lot of issues on the defensive course. They're still old. I mean, and that's why they traded away Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore's a young player, but you're starting to see they're starting to get a rebuild in. So I'm wondering if they're going to take kind of I know they have some cap issues as well. So I'm wondering if they're going to take kind of like a Lions type of rebuild, maybe hire Ben Johnson from the Lions because. What he's seen under Dan Campbell, who, by the way, Dan Campbell was part of the Saints. I mean, he saw everything that happened with the Saints and really brought over the Lions. So it'll be very interesting offseason for the Saints. I know they still have a chance to make the playoffs. It's kind of slim, but, with the energy they're playing right now, it seems like they're a really tough team to beat. Matter of fact, I think even if they don't make the playoffs, they could ruin some teams' playoff hopes, too, just because of the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Saints, and if y'all are just tuning in, we're just having a general conversation about the New Orleans Saints, where they're at. I know the fans are a little excited because we're winning. I mean, we don't have big playoff aspirations. You got a team of guys. Not all of these guys are going to be here next year. It's going to be a lot of changes. We don't know if it's going to be the same coaching staff. I do see a lot of moving chairs this offseason, but you have a team that's like, you know what? We're going to finish. It doesn't matter. We have a coach that's playing passionate, not really fighting for a job. Because when you're an interim head coach, it's not that big of a threat. in that moment. It's just, hey, you're taking over the duties as the head coach, and you really could go out there and try stuff. You can start. You see the stress and the pressure in Dennis's face. Like the last couple of the press conferences, like, oh, I got to talk to these people. Got to talk to these folks. I don't know what to do, and it's just you saw the stress because I mean he was under a lot of pressure to perform. You know, when you're not able to get those things accomplished, this is what happens. But you bring up a good point, and we talked about this as far as coaches. Grant mentioned Ben Johnson as a guy. That would be a nice, if you look at a Christmas wish list and you're a Saints fan / journalist like us.
Yeah, he's going to be on everybody's wish list. I mean, that's the number one name among assistants right now. You know, when you look at that offense, and you're talking about a team that just put up 52 on Jacksonville, setting team records for the most passing yards in the game, biggest margin of victory in Lions history. I mean, yeah, you'd want Ben Johnson, but he said too, and this is where the Saints have to really be careful, is because Ben Johnson has said the situation that he's looking for a chance. He wants to be competitive, you know, out the gate. Yeah. So, you know, there are decisions to be made, like with Derek Carr. Is he your long-term solution? I don't think he is, and I don't think Ben Johnson is going to be particularly attracted to a Derek Carr. So does that mean you're looking for a free agent in quarterback, or are you trying to draft another one in this draft, which should have some good quarterbacks in it? Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is at the top of that list that everybody wants, which means, though, you got to lose games, too. And so you have a very weird situation, you know, that every football team that's in a rebuild finds itself in. I think you want two things at this stage for the rest of the season if you're the Saints. You want to be honest with your players. You know, that's the number one thing, is like the guys who are veterans who may not be back next year, those conversations really have to be had now. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have those at the end of the year. I think veterans want to know what the deal is, if you're going to change guys' snaps because you want to look more at some younger players, some reserves, and see what they can do. You need to be honest about that. And what are you really pursuing? I think if you get to the playoffs, let it be organic. Don't chase the playoffs. Don't do things in a desperate way to make sure you win games. If you win because you're playing well and you beat teams, so be it. You know, that's not a bad thing. But if the long-term goal of this team is to really be a Super Bowl contender again, and I think that's what fans have said, we'll take the belt tightening if it means eventually we're going to eat again, right? You know, fans are understanding of exactly where the Saints are, and in professional sports, there's no worse place to be than mediocre. 8-8, 9-7, you know, 9-8, 10, you know, that area, it gives false optimism because it makes you think you could be slightly, you know, hey, 1 or 2 games and we're right there, but you're not really that good. 1 or 2 games worse, you think, oh, we're just a couple games from being good. So I think that's the thing is, and I think fans have done a really good job. If we're looking at what fans say on social media, if we look at how they respond, they don't have false illusions about this team. They don't think all of a sudden, well, the Saints get on a roll, we're a Super Bowl contender again. They know who the real contenders are. But I think what they want out of the front office more than anybody else is start making a real plan for the future and start communicating that. Because if you're going to keep raising ticket prices, if you're going to keep getting us to come back year after year, give us a plan so that we understand what's going on. Because if you're just trying to sell us hope year in and year out, if you're selling us on 10-7 year in and year out, first round exit of the playoffs, it's not good enough. And you can say that for both organizations on their line drive.
Yeah, we'll be joined here by Lou Hill our next hour as we're, you know, getting into the subject of the Saints and LSU. So when we get joined by Lou, we'll talk about his music. But I also want to go around the league. And the next team that I'm about to mention, to Dee's point, like Pittsburgh Steelers, they hadn't been great over the last few years, but Mike Tomlin has consistently been winning 10 games, so it's some type of playoff hope. Here in the last couple of years in New Orleans, there's been no playoff hope. You had the no call. That took a lot of life out of the fan base in the 18 season going into the 19 season. 19 season, we light it up, but it's not good enough. Michael Thomas gets the MVP offense, so the offense is good. Drew Brees still breaking records. Then it's the 2020 season, 21, then 22, 3. So for the fan base, it's exhaustion. It's like we're used to this team being good the last 16, 17 years, but it's just been a thing. The Saints got to continue to roll guys, and work on some things. And when we talk about when we go around the league, I know we'll get back to the Saints here, but I mean, the road moving forward is still a road moving forward. You have to play the Rams. You still have to play the Giants. That could be a win. You have a very elusive quarterback and Jaden Daniels coming up on your schedule. You know, you get around Christmas time, Green Bay. So, I mean, they still have to play the Buccaneers. So they do have a rough road coming up here, but it's going to weigh heavily on how they, you know, approach things. You know, to the tail end of the season, to the tail end of this segment, I want to switch gears a bit, guys, and let's go to the Pelicans. We're playing basketball. Boom,
something
boom,
close
boom,
to
boom,
it.
or something like it. Because, 4 wins on the season? Like, man, we're struggling down here. LSU, they got their thing going on. Hey, but we can say this, Tulane balling, and, you know, got a couple other teams around the state doing their thing. But, D-Grub, I mean, I'm glad you talk Saints with us, but I'm glad to have you in the building as well to talk about the Pelicans. A team, you know, I was like, what's up, CJ? He walking through the LSU suites with his chest out, got his little partner, Trey Murphy. I said, Trey, man, didn't I see you at the Jersey Mike's the other day? Yeah, man, what's up, man? How's it going? Y'all enjoy the game? Go Tigers. I don't know, man. Y'all losing right now. Man, get out of here. Ooh. You know, you got Herb Jones on the sideline. He's looking like
Alabama guy.
Yeah, it's stunting on us, man. But let's go to the hardwood, brother. You know, here's a team that we had so much hope for. And like I said, basketball is a gazillion games. Can we get this thing maybe after Christmas going in the right direction, D-Grub?
Again, I think it's the same with the Saints is what is that direction? What is the right direction? Because, you know, Pelicans, injuries are one thing. And certainly folks will say this is a team that's just been destroyed by injuries over the last 6 years, going back to Zion Williamson's first season. So we're 5+ years into this, and injuries have been a huge part of this every year. But I think the other part of it is, what are your goals? Again, you have been – yes, the Pelicans have won more games every year for the last 5 years. Every year they've won more games than the year before, 30 to 31 to 36 to 42 to 49. And yet they've never been higher than 8th in the Western Conference. So inflation is not working in the Pelicans' favor. You still are a bottom feeder in the playoff structure. And in the NBA in particular, we know how important home court advantage is. If you're not in the top 5 seeds in particular, you don't really have a chance of winning a championship. You've had 2 teams in the last 30 years who were below a 3 seed or below to win a championship. The Golden State Warriors a couple years ago when they beat the Celtics in the finals, and the Houston Rockets when they won their second championship, and they kind of, you know, meandered through the regular season, got Clyde Drexler, picked it up, and got a lot better. Pelicans are not going to be one of those teams this year. Just the math tells you. You start like this in the NBA, you do not make the playoffs. If you do make the playoffs, and folks will point to that team, you ain't going to make it with 36 wins this year. You're not going to make it in the West when there are 11 teams over 500 in the West. This team is too expensive, first and foremost, for its production. It costs way too much and loses way too many games. Your franchise player is too injured, so you're at the stage with his career where you have to question if he can be your franchise player. And your second best player is good, but not good enough to carry your team. Like, I mean, I would say this about Brandon Ingram. He made an all-star team his first year with the Pelicans. Gained most improved player in the league. His second year, he was averaging 25, 26 points per game. Here we are where you are the lead player when everybody's gone. Everybody's gone. How are you not scoring 28 points a game? Like, even just on bad shooting, how are you not scoring? Because you should be taking every shot. There's nobody else to take them. Are the Pelicans going to bench you if you take all the shots? Take all the shots, man. Like, you got to go on some Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady. You know, back when Kobe had the team with what's his name, the point guard that got clowned all the time, Smush Parker and Chris Mim, and he's playing with all these, and Kwame Brown and all those guys, and Kobe's scoring 36 a game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Brandon Ingram is Kobe Bryant. He is not. Kobe Bryant's one of the 5 greatest players of all time. Brandon ain't that. But if Brandon wants to be a max guy in the last year of his contract, then you've got to start putting on those kinds of performances. He said 2 30-point games this season.
100%.
2. So, I mean, like, just there's so many things. This team, they said this was the deepest, most talented Pelicans team ever. Are you seeing that? Because even with the injuries, The best player you have not named Brandon Ingram right now is Brandon Boston, who was not on the roster when the season began. Remember, Brandon Boston was not in the training camp.
That's right.
He did not play in the preseason, but he's your second best player right now. Over this stretch, Trey Murphy just coming back. Trey certainly needs to get himself going again, but they're not even letting Trey play back-to-backs right now.
Yeah, he's not really being able to consistently, get and do his thing and get that rhythm. If y'all are just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, baby, whether it's via my live stream here on IG, my folks on New Orleans Talk Networks, YouTube, we're talking Pels. It's just not looking good. I mean, right now they're at 286, so they're under 300. Basically, like D. Grubb mentioned, the bottom feeder team. Only team that they're better than right now is the Utah Jazz. So, that is a bit embarrassing. High-priced team, to D. Grubb's point. I mean, you got guys like Zion. You have Trey Murphy. You have Brandon Ingram, who's making an arm and a leg.
C.J. McCollum making $30 million.
You see what I'm saying? McCollum got the 30 M's. You got money. He walking all up LSU suites. He had his muscle shirt on with his chest out. I'm like, hey, man, let's get some points. Grant, when you think about this Pelicans team and moving forward, I mean, you got the Golden State Warriors. They're back in their rightful spot right at 1. Oklahoma, Houston, L.A., which we lost to L.A. the other day. Do you see any hope in this team maybe making a spark?
Yeah, so I really haven't gotten a chance to watch the Pelicans all year because I'm still going through football with LSU and high school football and, of course, the Saints as well. But I was able to watch them the first time last night against the Lakers. And I'm a Lakers guy. I'm not going to lie. I'm a Lakers guy. But I'm still going to watch the Pelicans because they're the team in town. And it's become clear to me just from reading about the Pelicans and listening about the Pelicans that, I haven't feel like it's a coaching thing because look at the Lakers. The Lakers still have basically the same team from last year. The Lakers are really a 42-40 team. However, they hired a new guy, J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick, of course, was a former Pelican himself, also a longtime NBA player, and a lot of people didn't think it was going to work out, but it just seemed like I've been watching the Lakers. I'm like, oh wow, they're running this play. I've never seen them run that play, and they're using the players that they have to the best of their abilities, and also helps that they're healthy as well. With AD, of course, always injured. You saw that in New Orleans.
I mean, they're missing some components too.
Yeah, exactly. And the Pelicans. If you look at the Pelicans roster, look at the Lakers roster. The Pelicans roster is so much better than the Lakers. It's not even close. This is like David said. This is a really expensive roster to be losing like this. And I was actually just looking at the standings. I'm pull it up here. So the Pelicans, of course, are right above the Utah Jazz, who are the last place of the Western Conference. But if you look at the teams above them, Portland, San Antonio, and the Clippers, those three teams are going through rebuilds. The Jazz are going through a rebuild. Yeah. The Pelicans have a really good roster. I mean, you look at the teams that are in the playoff hunt, I still think that the Pelicans have a better roster than at least maybe 4 or 5 of those teams. So it's mind-boggling to me that this Pelicans team is this bad early this year, 4-10. I mean, that's unacceptable. And, Zion Williamson also not, being the player that we all thought he was going to be. I mean, he's so good player. He's going to average 21, 22 points a game when he's healthy, but he's never taken the next step. So when is he going to take the next step? When is this organization going to take the next step? When are you going to start acting like a contender and stop playing like a pretender? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me, and I think the Pelicans, with the roster, there's no way this should be the second to last team in the Western Conference, let alone the NBA.
Hey, let me give you some numbers, man.
Give me some numbers, because we were talking about the guys that they brought in, Missy and Reeves. I'm just trying to think which direction this team going to talk to me.
And I like Missy, and we'll talk about Missy too.
Let me get you. Do this. And then kind of hit the little.
So I like Missy a lot. I think Missy is a phenomenal young player. He has a long way to go, and he'll get. I think he needs to be coached up, but he's shown he can adapt quickly. But overall, when you talk about this team, the last 8 games, because that's really when things have fallen off, and this goes to the coaching, as we were talking about just a second ago, as Grant was saying. Pelicans 29th in the NBA in net rating, the only team worse than the Washington Wizards, and how bad the Wizards are. The Wizards are also a team in a full rebuild, right?
That's correct.
They just had the number 1 pick in the draft.
They're always in a full rebuild.
Yeah, they're always in a full rebuild. You never hit nothing good with the Wizards.
Nothing with the Wizards. The Wizards are a franchise that has never won 50 games in the history of the franchise.
Yes.
Never won 50 in the history of the franchise. So the only team that's you're better than right now over the last 8 games have been the Wizards, and you ain't much better than them. Your true shooting percentage, which is the aggregate of your 2s, your 3s, and your free throws, Pelicans next to last in that. But where it really shows up is in the second half of games, and that's where coaching comes in. Because what do you do in the locker room? You make your adjustments, right? The Pelicans in these last 8 games have had several games where they've been either tied or had the lead at the half. They had the lead against the Lakers. They had a double-digit lead against the Lakers at the half. They were up 16 in the second quarter, went into the locker room up 10. The lead was gone in 2 minutes in the third quarter. In the second half, the Pelicans are the absolute worst team in the NBA over the last 8 games, and it's not close. Their net rating, which is the difference between your offense and your defensive rating, is a minus 27.4 in the second half. Minus 27.4. The Wizards, by comparison, in the second half, minus 17.2. So you are a full 10 points worse than the Washington Wizards in the second half of games. You are the slowest team in the NBA in the second half of games. You turn the ball over more than anybody except the Chicago Bulls in the second half of games. So when you come out of that locker room, everything falls apart. And that is about coaching. That's about your rotations. That's about your adjustments. And that's about the confidence that your team has in the game plan down the stretch. The Pelicans showed again against the Lakers. They could not execute down the stretch. They made a lot of mistakes in those final 2 to 3 minutes against the Lakers. And that's why they have lost a number of these games, is what they've done in the final 5 minutes, which has been a signature problem for Willie Green since he became the head coach. The reason they went out and got DeJounte Murray is because they were the worst team in the NBA last year in the clutch. Did not win a single game. I think it was the first time in NBA history that a team went an entire year and didn't win a game that they trailed at the beginning of the fourth quarter. They were 0 for 22 last year when trailing into the fourth quarter. So you have not fixed the clutch problem. You don't execute late. Your teams fall apart in the second half. That's an indictment on Willie Green. And yes, Willie's a first time, but this is year 4, man.
Yeah.
This is year 4, and we can love Willie Green and we can like him as a person, but that's not what the job is. The job is to win basketball games, and the Pelicans are not winning games, and they don't look better as a team. And I think the biggest thing is they have no identity. We
just had that conversation. We had that same conversation with LSU. If y'all just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, baby, we live at the New Orleans Talk Network studio, baby. That's right, the small sliders boot we in right now representing. I got my man D Grub. We're going hard in the paint. Y'all be sure to follow him at DM Grub. More on the bird rights. So if you want to get more in-depth on the Pelicans, definitely check him out. And of course, I got my main man G in the building, Grant Sassaran. Y'all make sure y'all holler at him as well. He gonna stick around with us a little bit. Y'all don't go anywhere, man. We got my main man Lou Hill in the building representing baby. He gonna join us. He gonna talk a little sports with us. We're gonna go around the league. We're gonna go around Louisiana, Grant, as well. We're gonna check out a couple of teams. I guess we do like a college football standing in the state. We might have a little time to get my man JB supposed to be calling in, give us a little high school update. If you don't call in JB next segment, we're going to for sure represent and give you a top 5. It's Inside the Trenches, baby. Y'all don't go anywhere. We got much more right here on New Orleans Talk Network. Take a quick commercial break. Shouts out to our sponsors as well. We want to represent Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana, MonteroMotors.com. Check them out. Holler at my man Alberto. Got the best used cars deal in the city. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back on Inside the Trenches. Hello.
In New Orleans, football is more than a game. It's a way of life. And just like our offensive line, we protect what matters most. With the big game in New Orleans at Elliott Security Solutions, we don't just protect, we lead. And now, we're hiring the best to join our team. Call 504-392-4424 or visit ElliottsecuritySolutions.com. Elliott Security is a proud partner Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, I'm Shelton Jordan with Lamarque Crescent City Ford. If you are in need of a commercial vehicle, I'm here to help. From F-150s to Super Duty trucks or chassis, to cargo vans, passenger vans, or if you're in need of a vehicle to be upfitted, we can build it especially for you. Or if you're looking for a truck or SUV, I can also help you at Lamarque Ford Store in Kenner. Feel free to call me at 504-734-3579 and ask for Shelton. Lamarque Crescent City Ford is a proud partner of Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite, and Inside the Trenches podcast is back, baby. We back. Y'all make sure y'all check us out for excellent season, and you can check us out on NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Y'all make sure y'all follow me at BigFave504. We back at it, baby. We in them trenches.
Hi, it's Alberto Montero. We got a great selection of vehicles in and out of here on a daily basis. We offer financing, all Carfaxes are online, and all our vehicles are serviced and inspected before sale. Best selection and prices in all of the New Orleans metro area. Come visit us today at 1512 North Causeway in the heart of Metairie. Come check us out at MonteroMotors.com.
Montero Motors, a proud sponsor of Inside the Trenches, ESPN New Orleans.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my small sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
Hello, somebody. This is Robert Wolfe. If you are in need of construction or real estate services, project management services, give us a call at 504-393-2445.
Well, hello. Like Rob just said, hit up Robert Wolfe Construction and Real Estate for your real estate and construction needs. And let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with Marlon Favorite on ESPN New Orleans. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon, Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, has some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my small sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
Step.
Turning me from blue to green. Don't be so mean. When I know your nerves, we make love. Baby, it's a crazy scene. 4 times for the Superman. Some good times. Your girlfriend's talking about the bad times. Always trying to be a witness, all up in our business. Fuck her up and kiss my ass. Time for the simple mind.
That don't stop the funk, man. That don't stop the funk.
It don't stop, baby. It don't stop. Welcome back to Inside the Trenches, baby. We rolling here. Shout out to my main man, Grant Sassery, for joining us on the show. Y'all be sure to follow Grant Sassery on Instagram, also on Twitter as well. Got my man D Grubb sticking around with me a little longer. We got a special guest to my left, but before I get to my special guest, I want to shout out Robert Wolfe Construction, baby. That's right. 143
Lapalco Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana. Robert Wolfe Construction. If y'all need to do reconstruction to your house, you want to get into a little bit of new construction. You're looking to, you need a real estate agent on something. You got a big commercial property. I'm telling you, holler at my man Robert Wolfe. That phone number is 504-393-2445. For special rates, use code word Big Fave. So, that's that one of the Master P's I got the hookups right there, baby. And speaking of hookups, we putting money in y'all pocket for the big game that's going to be here at the beginning of the year. Y'all know all them folks coming down here. Get with Elliott Security. You can go to their office, 2304 Manhattan Boulevard, Harvey, Louisiana, or you can give them a call at 504-329-4424. We are looking for unarmed security guards for the big sporting event here in New Orleans, winter 2025. If you are anyone else interested in joining the team, the money team, should I say, use code word Big Fave when you go there. You call there, say, hey, Big Fave told me I get a job. They're going to get y'all hooked up. LA Security, baby. That's right. So we got this thing rolling here. I want to say we have somebody on the Small Sliders hotline. Are we joined by my man JB? Did we finally get him in? What up, JB, baby? We're going to get him connected here. JB joins us every week to talk a little high school football. So, JB, we got a few minutes with you. There was some news today that broke in high school football. They got playoff rankings out right now. That's all scrambled up. And, of course, y'all got y'all top five. So, we got JB from the Hash It Out show joining us. JB, what's good with it, baby?
Oh, man, everything all good, brother. I can't complain.
Yeah, man, we got ourselves a full house here in the Small Slider studio, baby. We got my man Grant was on the show. We got Lou Hill here, 1/3, should I say, of the Water Seed Band, and my man D Grub hard in the paint. So it's only right that we had a Hash It Out show come on right now. And hey, bro, break the ice for. Oh no, before you give us your top five, they got some news around Louisiana football, and I mean, if y'all are just tuning into the show, y'all may have watched this a little later, so it may be old news when y'all check out this show. But what they got going on, man? Any updates on a little court case that was going on, huh?
Yeah, definitely. As you know, the LHSAA had made University High forfeit all of its wins, and that had put them out the playoffs. University High had appealed it, but lost the appeal unanimously, 22-0. So University High then got an injunction to put a hold on the playoffs. So the LHSAA didn't want that to happen, so they put in University High wins back in, and that's how they got put in the playoffs. But a court case was scheduled for today, and University High lost the court case. So with that being said, University High has been pulled out from the playoffs, and Booker T. Washington, right here from New Orleans, who was scheduled to play University High, gets a win due to a forfeit and gets a bye this week, and they will move to the quarterfinals. They will be playing football Thanksgiving week.
Now that's dope. Now my friend Harry Coleman, you was telling me about his team. Is it ball when he coaches? Are they going to play them? How does that roll now?
So Coach Coleman, Harry Coleman, he coaches Peabody. And he got the wrong end of the stick because Peabody was ranked number 24, the last team to get in. But when they put the wins back for University, that knocked him out. So they didn't even put them back in with this happening. So he's upset. I understand why he's upset. But I don't know what else could have been done, But yeah, Coach Coleman, he's upset. I feel bad for him, his coaching staff, his players, and the seniors on that Peabody Warhorses football team.
Now wait, you said that. Okay, so he was going to lose either way. He wasn't going to get in either way.
No, he was in when the LHSAA made University High forfeit those wins. He was in.
Correct.
That Sunday morning before the brackets, when they reinstated the wins to University, that knocked out Peabody, and then the playoff brackets were released 2 hours later. So that's what he's upset about, that they were in, and then they got knocked out, and now that University High lost the case, they still can't get in regardless, when they should have been in from the first place.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's a catch-22. You lose either way. Yeah. That's tough. There.
Yeah.
So we are in the playoffs. So this is hype. Before we let you go, you got to give us your top 5. Or before you give us your top 5, man, what Coach G over there talk about in the OVK?
Well, the thing is, our top 5 didn't change because none of our teams in the top 5 played. They all had buys. Right, so it's all the same as last week. It didn't change. But George is talking about the game coming up next week with Lake Charles College Prep and JFK, John F. Kennedy. He thinks that's going to be one hell of a ball game. He's talking about that a lot. And VK, he's still high on Dunham. He's still high on the Dunham Tigers to do big things in the playoffs.
Okay, well, that's huge. And, I mean, for our folks that didn't tune in last week, and since y'all's top 5 teams basically all have first week buys, give us your top 5 again.
All right. So my top 5. Number 5 is Caliga Baton Rouge. Number 4, Acadiana. Number 3, Neville. Number 2, Alexandria. Number 1, Edna Carr. George Pepper's top 5. Number 5, Acadiana. Number 4, Lutcher. Number 3, Caliga Baton Rouge. Number 2, Alexandria. Number 1, Edna Carr. And VK's top 5. Number 5, Neville. Number 4, Acadiana. Number 3, Lutcher. Number 2, Alexandria. And number 1, Edna Carr.
Well, that's big time right there. Hey, look. We got an Edna Carr grad over here in D Grubb.
I know.
He's glad he's at the top of all of y'all's list. Well, JB, man, thank you so much. We had some cheeseburgers here for you from Small Sliders, but we're gonna catch you next week, man. So thank you so much for dropping your top 5, and that's my man JB, the sports guy.
Definitely, man.
1/3 of the Hash It Out show. Y'all be sure to check them out. They'll be streaming live on YouTube tomorrow. Obviously talking about the playoffs and talking about the Shaw Eagles. They about to go ahead and do their thing in the playoffs, and I'm just excited about what we have to come. So that's cool. We're gonna switch gears. If y'all have been followers of Inside the Trenches with me, y'all know this is a sports and entertainment podcast, and I'm excited about our next guest. I interviewed for ESPN New Orleans at the MusicCon event. My man came through there. Good conversation because he's well, versed on the music. Obviously could play instruments, sing, got the whole deal going. But, man, we was running with the sports, D Grubb, so it's only right that we bring him in and talk a little sports. So before we jump into the NFL and the top teams in Louisiana for college football, at the intro, we played a new single, Marie. Y'all got a really nice EP out right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
Man, thanks for coming back
that's
on,
what's
bro.
up, man. It was a good conversation. We got into some stuff. Name of the band is Water Seed. We've been at it for a minute here in the city, doing a lot of traveling, doing a lot of stuff. Had a lot of wins in the music industry thing. We just dropped this new single named Marie, and as you know, I'm a Saints fan, so I'm no expert, but I definitely have my opinion after following several years dealing with this, growing up, being born and bred here in the city. So, I got my input on. It's funny, we talked about some things last time, and I don't believe they happened. They actually happened. And I'm just like, I didn't think it would happen, but okay. Yeah, so I'm happy to be here, man.
No doubt. And y'all be sure to check out Water Seed on Apple Music or wherever you do your streaming. Really nice. I've had Erica Falls perform at our poetry events. Her, Tank, and the Bangers, and now to see everybody doing their thing it's really a sight to see, and we're excited about them. So you started off. We were having this conversation when we were in New Orleans. Water Seed, how did you guys come together as a band? Where did y'all get started? And let's get to the origins of Water Seed.
So we started, man, many years ago. College campus production team. So we wanted to do I had a band like right out of high school and all the rest of that, but I wanted to I got into college, got a little scholarship to Xavier to go do music and everything. Got tired of the band life, but I had some friends like, let's just create some music. Let's produce some people. That turned into one of the professors said, I'm going to play one of y'all songs, blah, 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 blah. I went to the show, and it was just horrible. It was like, man, you destroying our music. So from there, we decided to just create a band, and we've been going ever since. So that's it, So it's been great. Like I said, we've traveled coast to coast. We've, ironically enough, our most entertaining part overseas, we did 3 months in Russia, which was crazy. Wow. But we've charted a few albums. We've had our first Billboard chart was, I think we came in the chart at number 46 R&B Billboard album charts. And then the next album directly after that debuted on 4 charts and got up to a ranking of 16. So since then, then COVID happens and everything goes crazy. But, we're excited about the new project. So we're doing something called Journey to Funk Store. I got to get you to this show, man. It's an immersive show where it's like we released this comic book 2 years ago where the comic book comes to life. So if you was watching that video, that was like the little sci-fi stuff that was happening. It's like that's parts of the immersive experience. So you literally, it's like walking in a Disney World when you come to a concert. So that's what we do, man. And so we've been pushing that big time and working on that. So Marie is one of the singles that'll probably be on a new album, but right now our main focus is getting an immersive show off the ground. And in the meantime, we'll be dropping like a new song every month.
I think that's pretty cool, D Grub. And one thing about their sound, it's multiple genres.
Right.
Like you hear a mixture of a little bit of funk, then a little bit of R&B, then you switch it up a little bit. So is that just kind of like basically y'all got together and that style was y'all just boom, this is our style, or it just kind of creatively came together?
We call it future funk, man. And the reason we call it future funk is not an arrogant thing. It's really like this is like where we're paying homage to all the shoulders we stand on of the people who came before us, be it rock, rap, soul, R&B, jazz, whatever. And this is just it going through our filter that happens to be in a vibe that makes people want to dance. So for us, I mean, we just get in and do what we like. And we're in a position presently where we don't have the parameters of worrying about genres. We can just go be creative, do what we want to do, and play music that we like, and people tend to like it. And, we've been blessed enough where we've been able to play to every demographic and get the same results. It doesn't matter if we're playing to 65 and older or high school students. It's all the same results. So we've been really blessed just to be creatively us.
Please do. No, I was just about to tell you.
Yeah, because I'm a big lover of funk music in particular, but I'm one of those people who argues that Parliament Funkadelic is the greatest American band we've ever produced because of that kind of approach. People don't understand that Parliament started off as a doo-wop band in the 1950s and evolved and brought all those things into rock, hip hop, influential in all those spaces, whether you and just. I love band music as well. I think that the band is the foundation of music, and that we've lost something in not cultivating band culture anymore. It's fine to be electronic, but how do you keep cultivating a good band culture?
We've definitely been, at tables where people are like, well, y'all just need to back the singer, and that'd be it. That's what we need. We don't mess with bands. I've straight up had record execs say, look, we don't sign bands. Don't make any sense. And I've argued, well, bands are a huge part of what made our music what it is. Why not take a chance? It's just something they don't do anymore. So I agree. Earth, Wind & Fire did the same thing. They were more doo-wop initially. If you listen to an album called Last Days and Times, was their like one of their first albums. You check that out. There was some doo-wop songs. You're like, wow, and they just transitioned. But even to that, what you're saying, in our industry now, because you're a musician as well, you had a situation where artists started in one place and they say, okay, we're going to rock you for 3 albums. By the 3rd album, you got to be hitting, and record companies would do that to develop that artist. And usually by the 3rd album, they'd be hitting, doing their thing. But it was a push. Nowadays, you don't have that. So people who love music, they go back and they can hear the genius coming. Like you go listen to Prince before Purple Rain in 1999. If you go listen to Dirty Mind, you could hear him getting there. You hear him figuring it. And then when he figured it out, it hit. Same thing with Michael Jackson. He came all the way from more the doo-wop era as well with the Jackson 5, and he hit, and that development doesn't exist in our industry anymore. So you're right, but I think fans want to take the ride, which I remember when. And I look at you. They want to know that stuff. But I'm not in control of the industry. I'm thankful for being here as long as we've been here and having the freedom to do what we want to do in it. So, and that don't come easy. We put in work, but it's great.
And you can see that in the catalog, D-Grub. If y'all just tuning in, we have my man Lou Hill from 1/3 of the great sounding band that just put it together real nice. Water Seed. Follow him at Lou Hill __ Pocket Man. And then at Water Seed Music on Instagram as well. Before we switch gears to music, I'm glad you brought that up about that George Clinton motion, the Atomic Dog, and just that funky sound. They took high risk, high reward. I mean, I like watching those bus stories, the cartoon bus stories, and talk about those different times. Anybody you want to work with in the industry that you hadn't worked with yet, that you're like, man, this is my next step.
That ain't never a fair question.
Right.
Say, man, so what's so sad is that one of the cats that was on my list just passed away, Quincy, man. And just meet Quincy. I wanted to meet Prince and Mike, of course, too. Look, presently I'm a big fan of, huge fan of Anderson .Paak. Love to sit with him because I think he's a cat that gets it. He make the modern and the old come together. Your great producers, of course. Pharrell would be nice to sit down and chat with him and a few other cats. Any of your great producers. But it was Mike, Quincy, and Prince were the three for me. Stevie is still around. So Stevie, I'm sorry I don't have anybody more modern, but
I get it though.
That's the people I want to know, because all the people that are current today, I can trace back to the root. I was always taught as a musician, it's cool to be a fan of where you are now, but go listen to the people that they listen to, and then listen to the people they listen to, and keep going back to the root, and then you can develop your own sound. So I prefer going back to the people that I think have inspired the people who are big today, and sitting with those people.
I mean, D-Grub, we see that a lot with like some of the samples. I remember when Tory Lanez dropped, if you wanted to just say it, less than just do it. And that was a remake to a remake. So
yeah,
I mean, he makes a good point.
I mean, you look at Quincy Jones's career, and you go all the way back. You talking about the beginnings with Count Basie. He's playing with, and you go from
Ray
Basie
Charles
to the 2000s, where he's still a relevant musical figure.
Yeah.
He crossed every genre, and he produced pop music with Burt Bacharach. He produced soul music, he produced
orchestral.
Just
composer of Steptoe and Son, which we know the theme song for Sanford and Son.
Yep.
We Are the World. All of that stuff. Quincy Jones was a massive musician.
Tomorrow will bring.
Oh, look. That's one of the
remade
baddest
twice,
songs
too.
ever created, man. Tevin Campbell.
That album was pretty good.
And that was an instrumental originally, and then they turned it for Tevin. They turned it into a
Saida Garrett wrote that because she wrote "Man in the Mirror." I like to sit with her. With that album was also Tamia was introduced, I believe, on that album
that was
as
the
well.
next album.
Was that the next
back
album?
on the block, and then Tamia came in.
You're right.
Joint.
Right.
I remember that because I got to meet Tamia
Look,
in Washington D.C. and I was in love with Tamia.
Look, from just what Quincy was doing, he's done a lot. So he was a huge giant in our industry. So yeah, that Quincy was.
I just love the fact that, and this is the thing too, as you talk about the industry that is so disposable. When you have bands, and whether we just talk about Parliament, but also just the Isley Brothers, who again, 70 years of music and different genres all across, and Earth, Wind, and Fire. And now I guess the standard bearer on a larger scale would probably be Mint Condition, as one of the last big bands still touring with a pop, and having that kind of record success. But it's just, I wish it would come back.
Well, look, you gotta look on the other side too. Just you still have your Maroon 5s doing their thing. Local PJ Morton is a member of Maroon 5.
That's
so
right.
you have all of those bands that are doing it too. You still have your U2s and your Coldplays and all the rest of that. So they're not as prevalent as they used to be. I think it needs to come back, and I actually think listeners want to hear more of that. I think with what's happening with AI and all of this stuff coming in, people are going to want to hear.
And the lack of music programs in schools.
Yeah, the lack of, don't get me started. This would not be a sports show, because New Orleans, the reason you have so many amazing musicians in a generation is, let's try to back in, football, which created bands, which made people happen, and then we go from there. So it's a part of it. I mean, I tell people all the time in New Orleans, when I've lived in other cities, like, man, look, bands everywhere else I've lived has been a nerdy thing. Oh, you in the band, you're there. It's like in New Orleans, it's as aggressive as you on a football team. It's as aggressive because we take it serious. So that's the way it goes. Yeah.
And I mean, to your point, that feeling for the fans happened at our festivals. I can remember just recently during the Chicken Fest, DJ Spin was on the mix, but he had his band behind me.
Yeah.
Don't want to go backwards, D-Grub. Like, when me and Bags first started getting out here doing shows again, this is like late 21, 22. We got really heavy with it in 2023. But, I mean, at the end of 23, when I got that first taste of the band, it's like not going back. Like, I'm legit like, can't wait till Water Seed come on. I'm going to slide on set with him because it just brings a whole nother element, man. I love it.
I think I'm older than both of you because I'm 49. So, yeah, I got a baby face. Thank you to the genetics. But, I remember, when the bands were starting to be introduced in hip-hop, I saw LL Cool J in concert right after he made the conversion to being like he wasn't going to just have a DJ at his bands.
Yeah.
I saw the Fugees live when they were first coming up and playing with bands behind them. And it's just, that integrate. I think people have forgotten how much live instrumentation has been a part of hip-hop culture, too. It's just, I'd love to see us push that back because I think music has become... It always is commerce. I understand that.
Yeah.
Everything is commerce in America. But at the same time, the culture of the musician mattered a bit more.
Well, the thing we've always said is there's always more bang for your buck. Inside of Water Seed, I mean, there's 3 of us that are the primary members, but all 3 of us are writers. So my position has always been like, you sign a band, you're getting 3 writers. You're getting 3 producers right there that can produce for everybody else. I don't understand what's the
collaboration?
What's the issue? So but like I said, I'm super grateful that again we're in a position where we handling our own business and I'm loving it, man. But y'all are 100% right. Bands, Jay-Z was big on really breaking that in too. Jay-Z when he sat down and did the
MTV Unplugged.
Yep, with the band, people was like, oh man, there's something there. Let's roll with it. So yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. If y'all are just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, we're having a nice casual conversation about just the origin of music. And I mean, when you start talking Ray Charles, I start thinking ragtime. And I do remember the Ray Charles movie where Lil Quincy was basically a little violinist that kind of got in with Ray Charles, and to see basically a mogul in sports, in music pass away is touching. I did mention sport. I want to segue. You brought up here in Louisiana how we just as bucked up for St. Aug's football team as we are their band. It's kind of same thing with Edna Carr we've seen recently. Matter of fact, they were going at it when they played at the football game. Carr got away with both, bro. It was like they was going ball for ball with the band.
Carr is not lacking in either of those departments, at all.
So that was cool to see. But I want to switch gears to the college football scene real quick. And I was on Boot Crew's Instagram, so shouts out to them. And I saw they put like a ranking of Louisiana college teams. Here's my thing. Florida has gotten this, California has gotten this, Texas, we got all the good teams. Well, the Boot is representing, baby, for the first time in a very long time. Tulane is a more productive, and I want to say a higher ranked or right next to ranked. I got to pull it up. Team is LSU. I want to say that they are
20th in the nation right now.
They're 20th in the nation, and LSU is 22.
Nice.
So right now in the state, the Tulane Green Wave at 8-1.
9-2.
9-2. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Tulane. 9-2. They number 1 in the state right now. Number 2 has to go to LSU. I mean, we've lost 4 games now, 3 in conference, 1 to Florida, 2 is to us. I mean, it's hard to say, but it is what it is. I want to say next on this list is Louisiana, which is ULL. They are
8-2.
They're 8-2. You have Louisiana Tech now. They're 4-6 if I'm not mistaken.
Southern is 7-4.
Southern, I have they're next. No, they're before the Bulldogs, and then I have McNeil and punter. Their season had ended abruptly. They had
one of his teammates had got killed, and they fired the coach. It was all kind of stuff, but
That's a lot, yeah.
it was a lot. So he got away from that in spring. He said he's going to, I guess, what do y'all think about that, man? I mean, Tulane, they look good, brother. I do think they have an opportunity to snatch that one spot an American conference team gets.
So I haven't been able to catch up to Tulane. I kind of been looking at LSU. I got to be honest about that. So but I have. Everybody in my hemisphere has been talking about Tulane, so I don't want to chime in too much on it.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I've been keeping up with Tulane from a distance as well. Luckily, the Hard in the Paints media guy with my girl Maddie and D Grub, that we're able to stay in the loop. And Adonis has been balling. I saw he had a pass breakup. Them boys balling over there, D Grub.
I was talking to Maddie this afternoon because she'll have a new episode of Before the Whistle with Maddie Hudak out tomorrow. And she was telling me that she's the sideline reporter for Tulane. She's telling me they're coming down the elevator after the game against Navy. And Navy had one loss, before that game yesterday. This conference win, they hadn't beaten Navy like that since I think it's the biggest conference win for them actually since 1948.
That's big.
And Maddie says that the folks from Navy tell them, y'all have the most physical defense we've seen all year. That's what Navy tells them.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have the most physical defense. They've held 3 straight opponents under 200 yards of offense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
3 straight. 2 came in, and there could have been a fall off. And Coach Summerall mentioned that. It's like there were guys who could have left this program after last season. You lose your coach, they could have all gone other places. Mekhi Hughes was the #1 rushing freshman in the country. You could have gone playing his way up to be an NFL prospect. You took a chance on a redshirt freshman as your starting quarterback, the guy who was 3rd on the depth chart going into the fall.
That's right.
In the fall, and you made the choice. That's the guts of a head coach saying, I don't care what the order was. This guy's playing the best now, and I'm going to make the best choice for the team today. Whether guys like it or not, this is the best choice for the team today. And I think that engenders that kind of loyalty and trust with the new coaching staff. We believe you're going to put us in position to win.
Yeah.
And when you get that, you play harder. And they came out of the gate. I think if you said if you took Tulane versus Oklahoma today, I think you take Tulane over Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
I think if Tulane played Kansas State again today, you're going to take Tulane over Kansas State today. So, I mean, they've gotten, and that's the other part. You want to see out of a team, do you get better from week to week? They've given them
standpoint of added advantage because you're at a bigger school. Man, Tulane has been making a lot of noise, and I'm glad I got D Grub on there to kind of get more in depth because he follows the program, him and Maddie, a little more than we do. But look at Mekhi Hughes. Over about 1,300 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns. This is the production you would usually see from LSU because we'll have a Darius guy, a Leonard Fournette. So it has been different. Let's go to the #2 team, and it's weird saying that. I love y'all, LSU, baby. Thank y'all for employing the brother. I'm going to keep on doing my thing. Go Tigers. But, I mean, you look at it from the perspective of, I'm glad Tulane's not on that schedule this year.
Yeah. I mean, how do they get out the slump is kind of like what you got to figure out. I mean, they started off nice, a lot of high hopes for what was going on, and then here we go. A lot of people are making comparisons and the coaching staff to another team. I don't know if that's true. I can't say that that's true, but yeah, man, I don't know how this turns around for them.
I think it does start for LSU to just finish strong the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Go to this Vanderbilt game, win handsomely at home. I just had Brandon hit my Twitter not too long ago talking about if I was to put on that LSU gold jersey, I look like a bottle of Heinz mustard. So I'm going to rib you, Brandon Taylor. I'm going to rib you on air. I promise you. I'm going to make fun of you as soon as you get back in town. I saw that deer you caught when you went hunting in Mexico. Who goes to Mexico to hunt for deer?
Hey, you'd be surprised. Right. I guess you got to eat it there, too.
How you got to? I'm going to rib you. That's just remember when we get you. But LSU has to win against Vandy and then handle business against Oklahoma. First time in the SEC coming to LSU. I mean, we have a history, the national championship in recent years playing Oklahoma. So we just really, as LSU, we just have to finish strong. Now, guys, we got about 3 minutes left on the show. I want to go around the NFL before we get out. And look, y'all, this episode will be up wherever you do your streaming, whether it's Apple Podcasts or whatever. Remember, you can subscribe and like Inside the Trenches with Marlon Favorite on YouTube. Also, for the full episode, you can go to New Orleans Talk Network where we're streaming as well. Just looking at the AFC East, Buffalo is at the top of that. Josh Allen looks unreal. I saw Damian Woody earlier this week talking about he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Y'all, quick thoughts on that?
I'm going. I don't. He's hot right now, man. Yeah. He is real. Like they are killing it up there right now, man. And I don't know, but I got them potentially going all the way personally.
Potentially, that's right.
I mean, you always got your boy sitting right there. That's I don't know. You may mess some stuff up in Kansas, but Kansas City. But I don't know what you think.
I can't say anybody's playing better than Jared Goff right now.
Really?
I've been
Really?
I mean, like.
Okay. You heard
that's
Terry?
The number one offense in the league, and they run the ball really well.
You heard that?
But I mean, outside of last week, and I think every quarterback is allowed their bad game.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, and I'm not a big Jared. I'm a Lions guy. I was born in Detroit, but I'm not a big Jared Goff guy. But if you're saying who's playing the best right now,
you going
Jared Goff's had 4 games with a passer rating better than 130 this year.
I'm just saying we had a big conversation about this on this very show. It was like the question of the day. Tarek think he's trash. And the question was, is Jared Goff a good quarterback? He ain't good. It's the team around him. Yada, yada. So like D. Grubb, he don't know nothing about this.
The real Jared Goff, please stand up.
I'm always worried. Yes.
Jared Goff, please stand
How long is that going to last? How long is that going to last?
Do y'all see this as a potentially Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl? I mean, that would be different.
This week, I feel that.
Yeah,
this
you
week.
Just never know the NFL.
Yeah.
Because with the Ravens, the Ravens probably, are strong on both sides of the ball, but they keep losing to the wrong teams.
It's kind of like Philadelphia back in the day. It's kind of like, oh, they should, but then they just don't. You know what I'm saying? It's that's where I think the Ravens are, in my opinion. I love to see them go, but the way I'm looking at Detroit right now, I'm like,
they look unstoppable.
That's a buzzsaw, man. That's a buzzsaw.
Correct.
It's 2 teams that 4 teams, y'all, as we wrap here, that look very promising. At the NFC North, you have to take an honest look at Detroit. And then, I mean, if I wasn't, nobody really in the South, really the West is all.
Because that's
so, I mean, I would probably look at Philly, as that team to mention.
Yeah, Philly, I would mention them.
And then the AFC, I mean, you have to say Buffalo right now, and you just never know what Baltimore do. But as an honorable mention, you can't keep Kansas City. I mean, just lost
absolutely
one game.
cannot. Absolutely cannot keep them out.
Yep. Well, look, y'all, I want to thank our guests for coming on the show, my man Lou Hill. Y'all be sure to download their new single, Marie, on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you stream. 4 versions of it. And then listen to their catalog, all kind of nice songs. We're going hard in the paint, man. My main man, D Grubb. Y'all be sure to check my main man, D Grubb, out at DM Grubb on X. Hard in the paint, bird rights. Your one-stop shop for all your sports information in a cool way, because we go hard in the paint. And my main man, Crescent City Sports, my main man G, representing that 7 Ward hard. My man Grant Sassaran, thank him so much for joining us on the show. Y'all be sure to follow him as well at Grant Sassarans on Instagram or Twitter. My New Orleans Talk Network team, Keelan, Mackenzie, and Tarek, everybody out there, and all of our beautiful sponsors, thank y'all so much for y'all support for the show. We don't have these cheeseburgers over here if it ain't for small sliders. My main man, Godwyn Realty, their support, Montero Motors, Robert Wolfe, Elliott Security, representing for Inside the Trenches. Well, y'all don't go nowhere. Well, y'all can go somewhere right now because the show is wrapping, but y'all be sure to check us out on Instagram. I'll have this thing posted up. Y'all can check out the show on Apple Pod here in a couple days. And, of course, we'll be back next Monday. Hopefully it'll be a lot drier. I heard it's supposed to be colder. We'll be back out there at Small Sliders. Y'all have yourselves a good night, and thanks for tuning in to Inside the Trenches. Hello, somebody.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out I just got moved back to the city.